Average Joe's Drive-In is proudly sponsored by the Maine Cannababes. The Cannababes are a charity group of pro-cannabis women from the state of Maine who are bringing worthy attention to various causes in the medical cannabis community. This year, they launched their very first Maine Cannababes Pinup Calendar, which they are taking pre-orders for as we speak. All the proceeds from the calendar are going to worthy charitable causes. If you are interested in purchasing one or finding out more about the Cannababes, you can go to their website, www.maincannababes.com, or find them on most major forms of social media like Facebook and Instagram. If you order a calendar and enter the code word Average Joe's Drive-In, you could win a chance to get an autographed picture of your favorite Maine Cannababe. Once again, put in the code word Average Joe's Drive-In for a chance to win an autographed picture of your favorite Maine Cannababe. Welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In, your weekly podcast on movies, music, games, and other things entertainment related. Now, your host, TJ Washburn. Hey everybody, welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In. I am your host, TJ Washburn. This is episode 26. I'm going to talk about some of the films I've watched since the 31 Days of Horror have ended. And also I'm going to talk a little bit about a few of the TV shows that I'm really into right now. And I hope you guys are all making it through your post-Halloween horror fest and, month of October. Usually after, my binging on the horror movies, I kind of take a few weeks and overload a little bit on some other stuff that I don't watch during the month of October. But horror is always going to be in there too. And I've got 6 movies to talk to you today about and some TV shows. So with that said, why don't we get down to it? And the first film that I'm going to talk about today is a comedy that I absolutely adore. I don't care what anybody says. And that is 2014's A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh, hey, look, it's the ice. Why is it so big?
So it doesn't melt. It's actually really interesting how they do it. It's this one company out in Boston that... That went south so fast!
The American West is a terrible place in time. Everything out here that's not you wants to kill you. Angry drunk people, hungry animals, outlaws. The doctor.
I couldn't save her. She had a splinter. Doc, what the hell were you supposed to do?
I would like to welcome a new member to our community.
Welcome to our awesome town.
What's with this fair?
Every year, people die.
Really?
Everybody hold still.
People die at the fair.
People die at the fair.
Somebody in this town is going to die.
Please don't shoot us on sex night.
You beat this guy at a gunfight, you're gonna be a real hero.
He's the most vicious gunfighter in the territory.
I'm gonna teach you how to shoot.
I gotta get a running start.
Dude, you really shouldn't drink and horse.
Aim up.
Get ready, I'm about to shoot a full load at your cans.
Shut up.
I didn't!
You've never seen one?
Yeah, I feel like I should have a piece of cake or something.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
I know you're here, Stark. Nakla, Henatza, Imeko.
Hatena ashte. Mila kunis.
Taijos, Negle.
Cha-cha, Tanjo.
Ste, Tasche, Goute.
Wow, you look amazing.
I really love that the most alluring fashion today is to simulate a fat ass.
If I was a black guy, this is the meanest trick you could play on me.
A Million Ways to Die in
in the West.
Maybe the frontier's not so bad after all.
Hey, it's a sweet young couple. Can I interest you folks in a miracle cure?
Holy shit.
This film was directed by Seth MacFarlane, has a runtime of 116 minutes, rated R, stars Seth MacFarlane, Charlize Theron, and Liam Neeson. I watched this on DVD. The synopsis. Mild-mannered sheep farmer Albert Stark feels certain that the western frontier is trying to kill him. Then he loses his girlfriend, Louise, to the town's most successful businessman. However, a beautiful pistol-packing woman named Anna rides into town and helps Albert find his inner courage. Then, Stark must put his newfound bravery to the test when Anna's outlaw husband arrives with plans to plant him in an unmarked grave. I don't care what anybody else says, I absolutely adore this movie. It's way funnier than it has any right being. If you like Seth MacFarlane, then you probably will enjoy this. If you're not a fan of this stuff, then you're probably not going to like it. It's pretty simple. It's very much that same type of humor you get with Family Guy, American Dad, and Ted. The comedy is kind of juvenile, let's face it. There isn't a whole lot of substance to the film as a whole, but it's a good not having to think type of comedy. There are times I want that. I don't always want to have to think and put a lot of effort into comedy stuff. This is the perfect movie for that type of occasion. I honestly don't think it tries being anything more. It knows what it is and the audience that it's appealing to. I don't say this often about comedies, but the film is very well shot. It looks fantastic. The score's on point and has that old school Western feel. The acting's good. I mean, but how can it not be with the fantastic cast this film has? The musical number at the barn dance is awesome. It gets stuck in my head every time I watch the film. And I think I've seen this movie maybe 6 or 7 times now. I find this film being one of the ones I go to when I want something easy to digest and familiar. There are a handful of films that I have a well-worn sense of familiarity with that fall into that category. Each genre has a few. For me, when it comes to comedies, this one has taken its place with Galaxy Quest, Beverly Hills Ninja, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail as my go-to comedies. My rating for this is a 7 out of 10. IMDb's rating for this is 6.1 out of 10. Next up on the list is 1983's Fire and Ice.
In an age of myth and legend, the world trembles before the power of Necron, master of evil, ruler of ice. Against him stand Tigra, princess of Firekeep and captive of the ice demons. Larn, last of a mighty warrior tribe, and her only hope of escape. And Dark Wolf, mysterious avenger and sworn enemy of the Ice Tyrant. Their courage will be tested. The challenge must be met. The final battle between the armies of the cold and the keepers of the flame is about to begin. Fire and Ice, from the visual imagination of Ralph Bakshi and the dazzling artistry of Frank Frazetta. A fantasy adventure from 20th Century Fox.
This film was directed by Ralph Bakshi and Tom Tatarowitz. I think I said that right. Has a runtime of 81 minutes. It's rated PG, stars Randy Norton, Cynthia Leek, and Steve Sandor. I watched this on Amazon Prime. The synopsis. This fantastical animated movie by cult filmmaker Ralph Bakshi finds the villainous Necron and his mother, Queen Juliana, attacking the human race from their frigid fortress, creating mass destruction with huge glaciers. Necron and Juliana incur the wrath of Larn, a warrior whose entire village was destroyed by ice. When Necron's underlings kidnap the beautiful Princess Tigra, Larn sets out to rescue her, assisted by the fierce and enigmatic Dark Wolf. I came across this one while surfing Amazon Prime for something to watch. I vaguely remember having knowledge of the existence of this film, but knew next to nothing about it other than it was an animated and sword and sorcery. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, I believe this was one of those films that I passed by numerous times on the shelves of my local video store during the VHS heyday. It's a pretty straightforward sword and sorcery type adventure from the 80s, scantily clad warriors fighting against an evil villain. There are some Neanderthal type monsters called subhumans that are the main bad guy's henchmen, an evil wizard, and a mysterious warrior who shows up to aid our heroes. The animation style is very much early 80s. It reminded me a lot of the movie Heavy Metal, style-wise, with more of that kind of weird live-action animation hybrid thing you saw a lot in that era of animation. If I remember correctly, the Lord of the Rings movies were kind of done like that, and a few others. The story's kind of hard to follow at times. We know the general plot, but from there it's kind of a crapshoot. It does eventually come full circle, and all is well with the universe. Overall, I enjoyed this, but I'm not sure I can say it's a good movie or really one I have much interest in watching again anytime soon. I'm glad I watched it, but I think that's about where it ends for me. My rating for this film is a 5.5 out of 10. IMDb rating for this is a 6.6 out of 10. Now, this next film is one that I've been really interested in watching for a while, but I kind of just have never gotten around to it, and that is 2015's He Never Died.
Maybe you should join us for a ride.
Oh, Jimmy!
Get out of my house.
How are you doing today, Jack?
We need to talk.
Do you have anything aside from being ambiguous and hostile?
Hi.
Hello? Who's Andrea?
You never mentioned a daughter.
We just met a few hours ago.
So what do you want to do today?
Bingo.
I-20.
You're kind of out there, aren't you?
Get out! Jack, I was beginning to think that you just crawled out of the ground.
I was shocked to find out you had a kid. They have Andrea. Why is he looking at me like that?
What are you doing?
Have you seen a young lady with a lip ring in here today?
What she look like?
A young lady with a lip ring.
Hey!
Are you Derek?
Yeah, motherfucker.
How old are you?
I have no idea, but I'm in the Bible if that means anything. I'm known as Cain.
Probably just gonna go kill another room full of people. You are?
Probably.
Come on!
I'm getting you out of here. I'm going to kill you. I am going to tear you apart and eat you. It's not because I want to, but I have to.
Let me die!
This film was directed by Jason Crox, has a runtime of 99 minutes, rated R, stars Henry Rollins, Bobo Stewart, and Kate Greenhouse. I watched this one on Netflix. The synopsis: a social outcast embarks on a bloody quest to save his long-lost daughter from a crime syndicate. Again, I've had this in my Netflix queue since it first came up on there. I never saw the trailer or read much into what it was about other than the basic synopsis. Has Henry Rollins in it, and that was enough to pique my interest. I haven't really heard anyone talk about it, and I kind of forgot it even existed. I was having one of those indecisive types of nights and scrolling through my queue when it popped up. I was like, why the hell not? This is a perfect time. First of all, what a weird movie, and I mean that in a good way. It's not your typical film by any means. It's got loads of action and an interesting, albeit odd story and a very cool overall premise. I won't spoil it because honestly, this is the type of film you need to go into blind. The less you know, the better off you are. Rollins again proves that he is a solid actor when presented with the right material to work with. He puts together an excellent performance. There were parts I laughed out loud in this. Little subtle jokes that nailed it and didn't try too hard. It's not a comedy, but it does hit those. When it hits those beats, it's perfect. I honestly wasn't expecting them, and I think that's what made it work so well. There is plenty of action and some interesting character interactions as he goes about his daily routines. If you're in the mood for something different and interesting, then this is a film worth checking out. I'm glad I finally pulled the trigger and gave it a watch. It's not something I think I'll go back and watch anytime soon, but overall it's a solid film. My rating for this was a 6.5 out of 10. IMDb rating for this was a 6.4 out of 10. So, the next film I watched was 2002's Rollerball.
Wasting your life. The break you need is right here. If you make the team, pow.
It's time to play Rollerball!
It's the world's #1 phenomenon.
I created a sport that you could thrive in.
And 3 players rule the game.
I told you, it's the promised land.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Jonathan Cross, leading scorer.
Gotta catch me first.
Offense! Go, go!
Aurora, the black widow.
Just get out of my way.
Marcus Ridley, hardcore.
We play, we win.
Come on!
He's the angriest man in the game.
Now we will all get big bonuses thanks to Jonathan and to Ridley. Jonathan, they knew.
What are you talking about?
Here, look. 1 camera follows the action, and 4 cameras follow Toba 15 seconds before it happened.
Nothing goes on in this place without you knowing it.
Oof.
Now, it was only a matter of time before one of these creeps realized that their tape would go up as soon as they got a little blood on the track. The world's most dangerous game.
Have you thought about the girl?
People disappear all the time. Will become deadly. And the only chance they have...
What's it gonna be? Us or them?
...is to fight back.
Get out of the car! They're going to kill you!
Grab hold! We deal with this on the track ourselves.
This may be getting out of hand. Maybe we should call the whole thing off.
No.
Rollerball.
Let's play the game.
This film was directed by John McTiernan, has a runtime of 98 minutes, rated R, stars Chris Klein, Gene Reno, LL Cool J, and Rebecca Romaine. I watched this on VHS. The synopsis. Jonathan is the most popular player in the fastest and most extreme sport of all time, Rollerball. Along with teammates Marcus and Aurora, Jonathan is giving viewers what they want. Visceral thrills, breakneck speeds, and head-slamming action. Things go wrong when Rollerball's creator, Petrovich, realizes that serious on-course accidents bring higher ratings. Soon Jonathan and his friends are playing for their lives. I owned this one years ago on DVD, but I haven't seen it in years. I remember being kind of indifferent about it back then, but when I was afforded a chance to pick it up on VHS for 30 cents, I figured why the hell not. It was one of those films I think I watched a couple times but remembered very little other than the general gist of the film. After watching it again and having a lot of time pass between viewings, I had some observations of why this film didn't stand out more for me and was so forgettable. It's almost a tale of two films. There's the underlying film and the film that's on the surface. There is a decent movie in this film. While I have never seen the original and know nothing about it, this one suffers from a horrible third act. The first 2/3 of the film are filled with a lot of potential. The premise is good, the acting isn't awful, and I like the dynamic between the characters. It explores what the owner's willing to do for ratings and what some people will do for a buck. It also had potential to tap into what drives people to be consumed by media culture. They also touch upon what lengths athletes will go to keep themselves in the spotlight. What ruins all that potential in the film for me is the horrible and weak third act. It's so cliche and contrived. There seems like there was absolutely zero thought put into it and it just kind of got thrown together. They really don't tie up the ends or address all the things that I talk about that, were there that could have been addressed and made this film a lot better. They just simply ignore that and just go for a kind of just overdone type ending. The characters' actions are stupid and it moves along too quickly, like it was trying to finish up as fast as possible. It's almost like, hey, we're running out of money. Let's just wrap this up in the simplest way we can without addressing all these other things we touched upon. I would have given this film probably like a 6 out of 10. 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, but the third act just destroys any chance of that. The only reason it even gets as high as it does is because of the first 2/3 of the movie, but the third act sucks so bad that it just kills it. My rating for this is a 3.5 out of 10. The IMDb rating for this is a 3 out of 10. Moving right along to something much more happier. And that is 1986's Short Circuit.
It's the ultimate soldier.
It doesn't get happy, it doesn't get sad, it doesn't laugh at your jokes.
It is quite simply the most sophisticated robot on Earth.
At Nova Robotics, the future is in good hands.
You're doing real good. Just keep working on those last 2 bars.
Thanks to Dr. Newton Crosby.
Originally, I designed it as a marital aid.
But artificial intelligence has gotten too smart.
No. It's malfunctioning. It might not do anything.
But it could decide to blow away anything that moves, couldn't it?
Because $11 million worth of robot just hit the road.
Wow!
Number 5 is alive.
Welcome to my planet.
You just have to find number 5, get some answers.
Why don't you come on in my house?
And it's got a lot of living to do.
Whatever it takes to put that stupid contraption out of commission, that's what you do.
Need input.
Haven't had enough of this stuff.
More input. More input.
And they can seem quite lifelike, but they are still machines.
Number 5 is alive.
Nice software.
How it happens, who knows, but it has happened.
A new comedy adventure from John Badham, the director of War Games.
They're gonna be after you. We gotta get out of here now. Hey,
keep alive!
No!
Ali Sheedy, Steve Gutenberg, and Number 5.
Beautiful.
Short Circuit.
I am alive.
This film was directed by John Badham, has a runtime of 98 minutes. It's rated PG, stars Ali Sheedy, Steve Gutenberg, and Fisher Stevens. I watched this on VHS. Synopsis. After a lightning bolt gives its human emotions and intelligence, a military robot escapes and finds refuge at the home of an animal-loving pacifist. This is a film that was a staple of my childhood. I watched this so many times on HBO back in the day. I watched it maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but I hadn't seen it since. Luckily, on my recent VHS buying adventures, I found a copy. I was very interested in revisiting it. This film is way cheesier than I remember it being. That's the first thing I noticed. I'm sure it's always been cheesy, but this is the first time I fully realized it. That didn't stop me from enjoying it, though. The cast is surprisingly good, and the effects are well done. The comedy parts were a little bit flat in places, but there were a few parts I had forgotten about that I laughed my ass off on. Honestly, there were parts I found funny that I never really got as a kid. A lot of that adult humor, that went over your head when you're that younger age and don't really know. So it's one of those films that you could watch with the family and everybody could probably get some laughs out of it for different reasons. Overall, it's a good film. It's very much an 80s retelling of Frankenstein. In a lot of ways, if you look at the layout of the story, it very much fits. I know that may sound like a strange comparison, but watch the film and take a look. I think if you go into it with that in mind, you'll see what I'm talking about. For a film that's 30 years old and a bit of a product of its time, it's still an enjoyable movie. And that may just be me looking at it with the nostalgia goggles on, but hey, for anybody that's my age, you probably will still enjoy the hell out of this film. My rating is a 5.5 out of 10. IMDb rating was a 6.6 out of 10. And last for the films that I wanted to talk about was the middle film in a franchise that I very much enjoy, but I've only seen, this one I think once. And that is the 2012's The Expendables 2.
Loaded?
Somebody's hooked.
And I pronounce you man a knife.
You and your little psychotic gang of monsters. Today is payback. 6 pounds of pure plutonium is powerful enough to change the balance of the world. Imagine what 5 tons would do.
You're gonna need more men if you expect to get out of here alive.
I'm back. You can't let the contents of that safe fall into the wrong hands.
What's the plan?
Track him, find him, kill him.
Here we go!
How did you do that?
Lucky me.
Get in!
His shoe is bigger than this car.
Shoot something!
You're not doing what I think you're doing.
Yeah, I am.
You're gonna need a new plane.
This film was directed by Simon West, has a runtime of 103 minutes, it's rated R, stars Sylvester Stallone, Liam Hemsworth, Randy Couture, Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, Jet Li, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So yeah, I watched this one on DVD. The synopsis: mercenary leader Barney Ross, Lee Christmas, and the rest of the Expendables team reunite when Mr. Church hires them for a seemingly easy job. But things go terribly wrong, compelling the mercenaries to seek revenge for a comrade's murder. With the odds against them, Barney and his team are hell-bent on payback and cut a path of destruction through opposing forces, only to encounter an unexpected threat: 6 pounds of weapon-grade plutonium. The Expendables series is one I've always enjoyed the hell out of. I have seen 1 and 3 more times than I can count, but for some reason I have only seen part 2 once. I couldn't remember much about it other than Jean-Claude Van Damme was the bad guy and a Hemsworth died in it. I remember not caring for this one that much the first time I saw it. I didn't hate it, but it certainly wasn't as good as the first one. I'm glad to say upon my revisit, I like this one a lot. It's right on par with the other two, maybe a little weaker, but not much. First of all, these movies know what they are. Testosterone-fueled, macho, no fucks given action films. They don't tailor themselves to be anything but. That's what I love about them so much. They harken back to classic 70s and 80s action films that were over the top, bloody, and asinine in all the right fun ways. I really miss these type of fun, stupid, mindless action films. Most of today's action films just have the same feel to them. Don't have the same feel to them as these. You know, they're watered down which is fine. A lot of them I do enjoy, but I miss that just stupid, over the top fun. If you're a fan of that era of action films and like them fast and over the top, then check out all the Expendables films. I think you will enjoy them. My rating for this one was a 6 out of 10. IMDb rating was a 6.6 out of 10. Something else I wanted to talk about, and it's not really something I usually bring up a lot on the show, because I really, for the most part, don't watch a terribly huge amount of TV, but right now I'm currently watching 4 shows: The Walking Dead, The Orville, Z Nation, and Stand Against Evil. So I just wanted to touch, on those shows a little bit and give my thoughts, and try to convince you to check them out if you haven't yet. Maybe not so much The Walking Dead, because everybody knows about The Walking Dead. You either love that show or you hate it. There's not a lot of in-between there, but the other 3 shows maybe you haven't heard about. Now, if you are a fan of The Walking Dead, and you like the zombie thing, then you might enjoy Z Nation. Now, the thing with Z Nation is it's made by a company called The Asylum. Now, I can hear people groaning in the background, especially Eric, my friend Eric and Eugene of the Movie Freaks. I love the Sharknado movies, but other than that, pretty much everything I have seen by The Asylum I just really haven't cared for. But I will say Z Nation is a lot of fun. It's that post-apocalypse zombie thing, but it's definitely out there. It has way more of a sci-fi twist to it than, say, The Walking Dead. It's not quite as serious. It's campy, funny, and it is what it is. It's one of those shows you can watch at any point in time. You don't necessarily even have to keep up with every episode. I would recommend watching it all. It's on season 4 right now. It's on the Sci-Fi Channel. But I just enjoy the hell out of this show. Now, a few people that I've talked to that I recommended this to didn't care for it. A few did. But yeah, I highly recommend checking this one out if you haven't. Give it a chance. It takes a little bit. I will say probably half a season or so before you really kind of get engrossed with it. And it's one of those that you will, I think I described it one time, is you'll watch the first season and be like, yeah. And then you'll find yourself, well, I'm going to watch season 2. And you're going to go, yeah. Then you're going to watch season 3. And then you're going to go, yeah. And then when, the next season comes on, it's like, all right, cool, I want to watch season 4. It's just one of those, it's really weird. You almost forget about it in between seasons. But when it's on, it's just a fun, enjoyable show. So I recommend checking it out anyway, if you haven't had a chance to check that out. And that's Z Nation. It is on Sci-Fi. New episodes air on Friday night. I believe you can find it on demand. Also, the first 3 seasons are available to stream on Netflix. The next show I want to mention is the Orville, the new Seth MacFarlane space comedy thing. And this is, I gotta say, I'm really surprised. It's really, really good. I enjoy Seth MacFarlane. This is the most probably toned down of anything I have seen by Seth MacFarlane, where he's pretty much just acting and doing his thing. But the stories are great. I love the characters on the show. It reminds me a lot, if you are a fan of the movie Galaxy Quest, it reminds me a lot of Galaxy Quest. It's that happy medium. It's kind of a happy medium between like Galaxy Quest and Star Trek. You know, which basically that's what Galaxy Quest was more of a comedy version of Star Trek. But it's a kind of a good blend, I guess. That's the best way I can describe it. And the show is absolutely fantastic. If you have been sleeping on this show and you like sci-fi and with a little bit of comedy, then I highly recommend you check it out. Well worth watching. I've been enjoying the hell out of it. Again, you know, I believe it's on Fox. I can't even remember, to be honest with you. It's on Fox, I'm pretty sure. I haven't just set on my DVR, so I don't really pay a lot of attention. But yeah, definitely check it out on Thursday nights. DVR it, watch a few episodes. You can catch up on this season because it is in season 1 and it did just get renewed for season 2. It's available on demand if you have that option. So the last show that I wanted to talk about is one that my buddy Pete turned me on to last year. And it stars the absolutely wonderful John C. McGinley, and that is Stan Against Evil. I can't even describe this show other than weird, wacky, and wonderful. John C. McGinley is friggin' brilliant in this show. It's really short. The episodes I don't even think are 30-minute episodes. Very, very quick paced. It's kind of a... if anybody remembers the show Erie, Indiana, it's kind of a weird, almost like Erie, Indiana meets X-Files with a dash and some other things thrown in. It's maybe a little Evil Dead thrown in there too. You know, it's very very interesting show, and it's a blast. I find myself cracking up every time I watch it. It's a comedy, but it, you know, has some horror and paranormal type elements in it, and it's on the Independent Film Channel. It's on its second season, and if you have not watched it yet, check it out because I think you'll probably really enjoy it. If you like the aforementioned stuff that I was talking about, give it a chance. It's real short. The first season, I think, is 8 episodes, I believe, and they're only on 4. They do release 2 new episodes per week. So, yeah, catch up on it. I think you'll find yourself enjoying it. Like I said, if you enjoy the aforementioned films that I talked about and shows and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to talk about today. But I wanted to get this out of the way, and there's a lot going on right now, and I'm just super busy. So I'm trying to get some stuff in. My upcoming episode for this week, if you are paying attention and playing along and that sort of thing. My buddy Shaw Smith will be in on Tuesday, so it won't be up on Monday like normal. We'll be up probably Tuesday or Wednesday. It's going to be a little late this week, but that's all right. And I got a bunch of other cool guests lined up for you. I think I'm pretty much lined up right through Christmas. And I have some cool stuff that I will be talking about in the coming weeks about once we get the details ironed out a little bit more for those upcoming episodes. And again, as always, I would love to say thank you to my sponsors, the Maine Cannababes. There you go. Having a hard time speaking fluently. I'd like to say thank you, as always, to my sponsors, the Maine Cannababes. You can check them out, maincannababes.com. All kinds of cool stuff, like I've said, dozens of times. Check out the merch. All the proceeds go to good causes. They're great people, and who doesn't like to look at beautiful ladies and support good causes? So thank you, Maine Cannababes. That's maincannababes.com. Check them out. Also, as always, thank you everybody that's been listening to the show. I appreciate everybody that checks it out and talks, hits me up online, talks to me. Add the Instagram page, add the Facebook page, add the Twitter. You can find the links to those in the show description. Or go to www.thomaswashburnjr.com, and there's links to everything there pretty much. So yeah, thank you guys all, and please, last but not least, please, if you enjoy the show, make sure you rate it, and if you have time, leave a brief review on whatever site that you are checking this out on. There are so many, iTunes, Google, YouTube, the list goes on and on and on. But please, rate and add. It helps make us more visible, makes the show more visible, gets it out there to more people. And it's a pain in the ass, I know, but I appreciate the hell out of it for those of you that have done that and will do that after you hear this, because you guys are awesome. And with that being said, I am your host, TJ Washburn, and you have been listening to Average Joe's Drive-In. I will see you sexy animals on the flip side.